Hey, this is Anthony with RevZilla. Watch, decide, and ride. Welcome to our detailed breakdown of the new Schuberth SR2 helmet, available at RevZilla.com. Oh, bask in its German handmade glory. This is the Schuberth SR2, brand new for the fall of 16, going into the 17 riding season. If we look at it, it continues the lineage of German magic built for the racetrack, and it stands on the shoulders of everything they learned in developing the SR1, which I have to my left. Now, this is the SR1. The RevZilla orange. And you see I have my SR2 right next to it. What you're going to notice right out of the gates is that these still live in the same family. They are race thoroughbreds. They are apex predators. They are around the $800 mark. But the SR2 has become more user-friendly. It has taken what worked on the SR1 and iterated and moved forward on it, but they are very different helmets if you look at them. I personally think the first SR1 was super aggressive. I mean, just screamed speed and aggression, no compromises. The new version of the SR2 that I have in front of me, to me, feels a little bit more sophisticated, feels a little more polished. They've definitely made changes which I'm going to hit just in a second, but it feels more technology to me. So this feels more futuristic, where the previous one just felt fast and aggressive. So again, that's how I might define this guy as a spaceship, and this right guy on my left is a great white shark. Just a difference in their approaches to the market. Now, key changes. The first change, which I'm very, very happy about, is they've managed to make it more attainable. It's still around $800, but this guy was closer to $900. So apex predator investment getting to the track. DOT ECE rated. The second change is that this bad boy is lighter. They shaved 4 ounces off of it. So 3 pounds, 3 ounces goes down to 2 pounds, 15 ounces, while still using strong fiber in its construction, which is Schuberth's proprietary shell material. Fiberglass, carbon fiber, resins constructed in a proprietary way, made in Germany. Again, super protective, but super light. And they figured out how to engineer it while keeping its protective rating and get down under the 3 pounds mark, which is just insanely lightweight. Other things that they have changed on this helmet, and we're going to walk through some of the other nuanced elements, but really what you're going to look at here is the face shield. Face shield mechanisms have changed. It went from 3D to 2D. They've now installed a Pinlock Max Vision that comes stock in the box. You're really looking at a helmet that's gotten a bit of an overhaul. And the last thing, which is really, it's funny, I saw a ride do the same thing this year with the Corsair X, where they took a race thoroughbred and they said, how can we make it more user-friendly? The last thing they changed about it actually is going to be more comfortable for street riding. What they've done is they've made it quieter, and they've done that by saying a helmet that vented extremely well, but that venting was getting to the place of noise, and they said, let's remove 10 liters per second from the airflow. Let's tune these vents a little bit more, where they've actually detuned the ventilation scheme just a hair. They've taken these winglets on the side that used to be extractor vents. I'll show you on the previous version. So it used to be extractor vents along the side. You can see them right down here. And what you're getting now, here, I gotta turn that guy just more, there you go. And what you're getting now is a diffuser that's gonna break up airflow, make it more aerodynamic, but it's no longer an extractor. So what they're doing is they're limiting the airflow, which we're fine with, because they're making it a more usable helmet if you wanna rock it on the street. Now remember, it's designed to be in the tuck or in the 3/4 position. In the upright riding position, you're just wasting your time, money, and effort on a helmet that's designed to be in a more aggressive race position. So all in, a lot of changes. All in, it's a net positive. Subjectively, the style for me, I personally like great white sharks better than I like space shuttles, but that's just me, and you're gonna make that choice on your own. That is very much a style-centric decision. Now, let's talk briefly about fit, and then I'll dive into all of the nuances. From a fit side of things, it's intermediate to longer oval. So, I'm an intermediate oval, a little bit longer front to back. I'm not neutral, I am not round. I think that this helmet, from what we did when we spent some time with it here at RevZilla, we actually believe too it'll work a little bit with, if you're a little bit of a longer oval head shape, like Buzzsaw was working with it, and Buzzsaw said, you know what, I'm long, I consider myself longish oval, and it works for me as well. So, a little bit longer front to back, but you can get away with it if you're a hair longer or a hair narrower. You can't get away with it if you're a hair more neutral. Keep that in mind. I also want to call out one other thing with regard to the fit scheme. Now remember, it's a really lightweight helmet, but the fit here is important. The previous version, I was squarely a medium, and I'm at the top end of the medium. The new version, I'm a large. And this is what you need to keep in mind. If you look at the size chart and you measure your head, and you are on the upper end of a size, you need to go up to the next size. These fit about a half size small. So if I was kind of at the top end of a medium, I would buy a large. If I was at the bottom end of a medium on the size chart based on my measurement, I'd stick with a medium. Keep that in mind. That annoys me. That is something that I think is something they need to, they're not going to improve it for the SR2, maybe for the SR3 in a few years. We see them come back to a standardized Schuberth fitment. But what you need to keep in mind is when you're using the standard Schuberth size chart, you need to remember to go a half size. It's going to fit a half size small, so you need to think about it almost through the lens of a half size up. If you have challenges with that, give us a shout. Remember, we do ship for free over 39 bucks. We're going to make that easy if you need to make that swap out or that exchange. But I'd really like it if you click our logo, subscribe to us at RevZilla on our YouTube channel. Leave me your comments, your questions, and your feedback as we break this down. Now, if we look at it, let's start from the outside and work our way in. And actually, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to start with some of my gripes. The first gripe you already heard, which was the sizing gripe. The second gripe you've heard is the style gripe for me. Subjectively, I like great white sharks. Yeah, we'll just leave it there. I watch a lot of Discovery Channel. The third gripe I'm going to make actually comes down to the shield. There are actually two gripes that I have with the shield. This shield needs to be spring-loaded. Schuberth, your German engineers, a lot of manufacturers now building a spring-loaded shield, meaning when it comes down, it actually sucks its way in. I want to see that on this helmet because what I have is a helmet that has a great weather seal all the way around the shield, and I love the fact that it's still optically correct. I love the fact that you made it 2D. I love the fact that you now come with an installed Pinlock Max Vision that I have on this helmet. But what I don't love is to get it basically goes down to the city position, which flows some air, and to close it, I have to go like this. So notice what I just did there. I actually had to use the locking mechanism to pull it down. Now, a lot of folks on the racetrack are going to do that, but for me, everyday riding, I wish it had that last detent. That's one of my other gripes. So the last gripe I think I have, besides the fact that this doesn't have emergency cheek pad removal systems on a race helmet, I think that's a miss as well, is that I'm going to pull in, remember this is the formula graphic, I'm going to pull my cream version in over here. Notice it's nice and creamy. And what I'm going to show you is I'm going to open it up right now. Schuberth does not have an easy shield change mechanism, and the previous version absolutely sucked. It just did, flat out. It was really hard to use. The new version's gotten better, but you still feel like you're breaking it. So what I do is it actually hurts. I can pull my hand in there and kind of jack it up like that. So again, it goes back in pretty simply, very easy to reinstall, but to move it up, it makes this noise that really just doesn't sound great for the helmet. It's very sturdy. I promise you won't break it, but just keep in mind when you think through the helmet. Now, we already talked about strong fiber. We talked about the aerodynamic profile and the wind flow. Obviously, this is designed to be in the tuck. What I didn't mention is they changed the spoiler on the previous version. Great white shark over here, Jaws we'll call it, had the adjustable spoiler. It's kind of a cool feature over top of these mesh graded vents that no longer exist. They've gotten rid of the wire mesh, which again was part of the great white shark. But on the rear spoiler here, what they've done is they've tuned it. It's going to be using, they've actually used the new, they haven't released us on a stat of how much more aerodynamic it got or what they did to the Z coefficient, but again, they're using the new Schuberth wind tunnel, and for them, they tuned airflow and they're saying it's a step forward. So at this stage of the game, without track testing both of them heads up, we can't really comment on that, but what we can tell you is that they've streamlined things and they've taken away the removable spoiler. If we look at the side, we talked about the side wings that are now changed to break up airflow and keep it more stable at speed, and if we look through the rest of the helmet here, we might as well get into the vent scheme. So remember, on the front here, you have your big chin vent down here to the face. That's actually controlled right down here. You can see me working my finger across this. There is a chin skirt. We uninstalled it. Chin skirt comes stock in the box. There's also this vent right here, which with your Pinlock Max Vision, which is removable, creating that double paned window effect, you don't really need this. But if you want to get additional airflow up the shield across the top of your head, this is what that scoop would be. And notice how that's designed. You do have a cowl, a breath guard right there that's fully removable. Notice I just removed it very, very simply. And we move up to the vents on the top. These are an improvement in my mind. They don't look as cool as the wire mesh version on the previous version. Fine, I keep kind of docking at points on style. I'll stop doing that, but they work a lot easier. These are much more usable vents to the chimney interior through these 10mm vent holes that are going to circulate air. And then again, along the back, notice they're integrated right down here. So you have these two passive extractors. Air comes over, it breaks up the flow, it creates that it minimizes Z coefficient and drag by again keeping the helmet stable at speed, inclusive of head checks. And what you're getting is that high-speed air coming off the back of the helmet off this sphere, creates a vacuum back here. That's just what it does, and it's going to help extract more moist air away from your head. Because remember, people think if you're riding day to day on the street, yeah, it could be pretty passive. If you're riding on the track, you're going to sweat. You do want that airflow. And I'll tell you, on the track side of things, to make it more quiet, doesn't really bug me because, or doesn't really add as much for if you're buying it as a track helmet, because ultimately you're looking at a helmet that most track riders, most racers are going to wear earplugs. So again, there's not that big of a deal there. And again, if we look at the outside here, we've covered most of the basis on some of the changes in the mechanism. Now, if I pull the helmet on its side and I get into the guts, one of the other things they changed that's more of a nuance, so I haven't called it out yet, is they made it easier to get in and out of. So if I pull this one up next to it and you see the bottom, this guy was a pain in the butt. Super, super narrow. Again, I know why they did it, to create that great seal along the jawline and maximize the quiet, which ultimately wasn't able to get there. They could only do so much. But on this guy, it's going to be much easier on and off. And notice, it is now an upgraded Coolmax interior. Again, it's got polygene, so antimicrobial, it's wicking, and it's Coolmax, which means that it has that great cooling effect against your skin. You have some reflectivity baked in here. And they also, if you notice here where my hand is, this area along the back, this ridge, actually protrudes and gets closer to your medulla underneath the occipital ridge on your head. Yeah, I just scienced you there for a second. But what it does is it adds a factor. It increases the anti-roll-off factor. So again, it ties in nicely under that crest on the back of your head, and it keeps everything, including the helmet, where it's supposed to be. Now, if we look at the side, I already docked at points earlier. I called it out. No emergency cheek pad removal system. I want to be able to hook my finger in there and pull this bad boy out, especially if I want an EMT to do that when I'm unconscious, and you can't do it in this helmet. So keep that in mind. It's something, if that's a deal breaker for you, if you're prone to kind of low siding it through the curve and hitting the Jersey barrier, you might want to think about that. If you're going to mix this up for track days and non-track days, again, that's going to be your call, but you need to hear it from me that that's something you should consider. Now, if I start to break it down from the inside out, I'm going to pull this bad boy out. Notice it ties in with the neck roll. Everything comes out as one seamless piece. They do this to keep it quiet. Notice the 3D contour. It's nice. This is the premium super suede Coolmax stuff. This stuff's beautiful. It's wonderful against your skin. It holds up really well over time, and it is, again, you're spending $800 for a base level of this helmet. You need to understand that the base level components are going to do well. And I can't stress enough that, again, when I think about it, I love Japanese manufacturing for Shoei and Arai, and I love German manufacturing. Again, they're playing in a very different class of helmet manufacturings from a fit, finish, and quality standpoint compared to things that are maybe manufactured in other places. That is part of what you're investing in. Now, double D-ring, no crazy micrometric. And again, as we open it up here, I'm going to show you how this occipital ridge pulls out in the back. Notice it's tucks in underneath the back with those tabs. And to the front, they've removed all the pressure points. So I open this bad boy up. Notice this is where it's going to connect to the helmet. And by doing that, you have basically 0 pressure points within the helmet. Notice it's fully open. It's going to flow air. It is 3D. It's going to be sonically welded at these places as well as stitched. Minimization of seams, minimization of pressure points. It's attaching plastic to plastic, but not in an area that your head will feel. And again, you're getting that Coolmax and polygene. So again, they're basically on par with the course with what we'd expect at this super high end. Now we open up the inside. This is really cool. If we look at it, this is what we call a flocked EPS. And that means that this EPS is coated. And that EPS coating actually dampens sound. And you can see it has big channels cut out. It's, again, fit and finish. It's all about details with these guys. This is, again, what you're investing in. And if we look here down towards the bottom, you're going to see this ridge. It comes out here and protrudes. That's part of that occipital tie-in that keeps the helmet in its place where it's supposed to be. You also have these little winglets. Actually, winglets is the wrong word. They're little tabs. I'll pull it out. They are Velcroed. And what this is this is the ability to tune the noise around your ears. So you can create more of a seal around your ear, or you can pull these guys out. They come stock. They're fully removable on both sides. But again, it's just forward thinking as you're thinking about a helmet that ultimately you want to be neutral on your head. When I say neutral, it means you're on the track, you're racing, or you're very aggressively sport riding, and you are thinking 0% about the fact that your helmet either doesn't fit, is too loud, is obstructing your view. These are the types of things that are on the track. You want to forget that you're wearing safety equipment so you can focus on the line at hand and the other bikes on the track around you. If we look at it, 10mm vent holes, everything's sculpted. You can see everything's super premium in this helmet. I mean, again, if you're investing here, you are investing at an Apex Predator. I mean, you're looking Corsair X, you're looking Shoei X14. I mean, that is the pool that you're playing in. Something like the Bell Pro Star. I mean, this is where you're at with these helmets. But again, you're playing. These are essentially Ferraris and Lamborghinis for your head on the racetrack. So all in, remember, the Pros, more quiet, more comfortable, and it's going to be a little bit less expensive, but they shave 4 ounces off of it. Again, taking it, moving it forward. A little bit more technical and sophisticated from its styling, a little bit more tech versus aggressive. That's where they went with it. And my gripes are some of the issues with the shield, some of the issues with the emergency cheek pad removal system, and you heard me walk through that stuff. So again, all things to take into account. They may or may not be deal breakers for you, but for us here at RevZilla, it's our job to break that stuff down and say, hey, Schubert, if you're listening, SR3, we know you're going to change, maybe, if you agree with us, but for the potential consumer that would invest here, you need to understand those things. The next step in your journey is click the info button, your desktop, your mobile device, visit the product detail page at RevZilla.com, read other rider reviews. You shouldn't just take my word for it here on the Schuberth SR2. Also, keep in mind, we're going to ship for free over $39. You want to talk to a Gear Geek, see us at RevZilla.com, or 877-792-9455. Thanks for watching our detailed breakdown. Remember, subscribe to us at RevZilla on our YouTube channel. Stay up to date with our opinion on the latest and greatest in the motorcycle universe. I'm Anthony. We'll see you next time.